Hello everyone, welcome to my podcast, The Hidden Power. I'm your host, Dr. Susan Koruthu, life psychologist and mind wellness coach. Today, we were witnessing election results from Kerala and West Bengal. It was an amazing event, and when I was watching the TV, my mind was mostly focusing on what makes these leaders different from others. So there are so many traits, so many qualities, the way they project themselves, or the way they function, their attitude, their behavior, their personality, their character, and everything tells us certain things, and we must understand these different qualities and traits that they possess. So I thought of doing a podcast on that subject, where the political and leadership that helps in the politics as well as in the business. So the political and business leadership is today's subject. If I ask you, can everybody be a leader? I would say yes, everybody can be leaders, because we all are possessing some kind of leadership traits, leadership qualities, and we have some certain skills. And based on our interest, we develop these skills or we develop these qualities, and we put ourselves into various scenarios to lead. Maybe it is in the family, maybe it is within our friends circle, or in a certain voluntary groups, or in the office or the workplace, or in your business, or in your any area that you are interested in. But the very interesting thing is that, people consider certain people as, a true leader, very powerful leader, and, the leader who has got or who has made some impact. Now, when we look at the trainers and the motivational speakers, they say, the leaders are not born, but leaders are made. That means they are, learning certain things, and, they are trained to be leaders. They are, coached to be leaders. I would say we cannot just completely trust that, because if you just think that, you can be a leader just getting a training and just getting a coaching, that may not be completely true, because your leadership traits defines what kind of a leader you are. And yes, of course, the skills and the qualities can be developed or trained, or you can get it from someone or some books, and by reading, by learning, all these things can come to you. But when you are born, you are born with certain traits, and that traits will help define you what kind of a leader you are. Let's see, you can say that, we say there is altruistic leaders and the people-oriented leader, there are action-oriented leaders, and the like. When you look at the political and business leadership, I'm not talking about, the small level. I'm talking about the massive level of business, the empire that they have created and they lead. And the political leaders, they are really came from a very base level, and then become, completely strong, completely controlling the entire their political party, those level. And these people, when we look at it, they need to have a power-oriented leadership. It's very interesting to note what this power-oriented leadership is. Before that, as the trainers and coaches and as motivational speakers say, you can develop your leadership skills. Yes, of course, you can develop. And I also train people in leadership skills. And I believe whatever way I train them and whatever they prepare themselves, they cannot be a leader, beyond their traits. They cannot be a different leader. They say that, I want to be a powerful leader, but your traits are something different. Maybe you are more of an altruistic type, more of an emotionally, kind of focused type, or maybe a person who is more of action-oriented type, or a laissez-faire type, and, it's up to you, your traits, which decides the type of leader who you are. Now, if you look at the skills, you can develop your skills like, communication skills, assertive behavior, your thinking skills, people management skills, goal setting, planning, self-management, team management, delegation, influence skill, emotion intelligence. All these skills can be learned. I'm not saying that it cannot be learned. The qualities can be also developed, like, for example, you can be more honest, integrity, trustworthiness, gratitude, empathy, courage, respect, accountability. All these things you can just understand. These are the main, most of, needed or important qualities leadership possess. You can develop them as well. But I'm talking about the traits, certain traits, which create this powerful leaders, and that's one is the high tolerance level they have got it. It's not just something people develop, or people get trained to have it, and they have that tolerance. Okay, to a certain extent you can train them, maybe the life experience and can make them, but many people just lose their tolerance power and they just give up. But these people will never, they just move on, whatever difficulty they face and how many times they fail, they just moves on. And their endurance, then emotional strength, that means to handle all the frustrations and like the criticism, whatever. And the transcendence, that they need to be far-sighted people, they need to have the big picture, and they should be having the right thinking and the optimism, and like the most importantly, the forgiveness. That means I'm not saying that forgiveness is forgetting completely, but forgiveness is like I'm not carrying that grudge and things which affects my further like movement, or when I'm moving ahead. If something is really hindrance to me, I just remove it from me, and I'm not going to be bothered about that. I'm more wise enough to take up my dream, my goal, and move ahead. That kind of an approach. Then they have the right judgment capacity. They are intelligent in all aspects. That means they have the intelligence to leading their group, their people with conviction, their followers, especially the securing the follower trust, their commitment, their love, their they make the follower think that like thus is the only true leader, and these are the things that makes a leader really strong. And the next area is the dark area, or dark personality traits, which definitely a business or a political leader must be having, and they need to have this to be a powerful leader. For example, this when you look at a political leader or a business leader, very powerful, very strong, very successful leaders, they never have any kind of a regret or remorse, like for something they have done wrong, or something, they did some mistakes or anything. So what happens here is, these leaders, they need very unique traits such as narcissistic traits, dark empath traits, and the dark triad traits to manage their diverse empire. They have a very diverse empire. They need these traits. Let's look at this dark traits, what these traits are. These traits can help them because, they should be able to play certain emotional games. They should be able to silence any voice against them, and they should be able to create well-functioning flying monkeys around them, and they have to use required amount of gaslighting when faced with allegations and things like that. So it is important because obviously these things needs to be used, and they will be faced with various situations which is difficult, which may be pointing fingers at them. They need to be handled this. The dark traits can help them in conflict resolution, and it helps them in leading the vulnerable group or a team in a vulnerable situation or in a tough situation, and it helps them to make quick decisions in a complex situation, and it will give them a kind of a strength to never give up on their goals, whatever may happen. So these are what this dark traits or dark qualities will help them. So when you look at the dark empath and adaptive psychopathic behavior, these are the two behaviors you can see very powerful in them. The dark empath traits is something which very recently we have heard in the psychology, and the traits clearly fit with this powerful political or business leaders. So a dark empath is a person who can be kind, who can be passionate and emotionally connected to others, but they seem very cold and have dark personality traits. I'll repeat this. A dark empath can be kind, passionate and emotionally connected to others, but they seem to have the cold and dark personality traits. So what happens here is they have a higher ability to make sense of others' motives. That means what others are up to, they can sense it in a very higher level, and they have the ability to make decision and the ability to engage in adaptive psychopathic behavior when necessary. They, when these powerful political and business leaders, they are into that very highly powerful position when in their journey, they use these kind of traits, these kind of qualities to manage the negatives coming across their way, or some certain tough situation, their enemies, their opponents, all these areas, they really need to be having these kind of traits. So the powerful political and business leaders also possess the adaptive psychopathic traits, as I said, not just the dark empath, and they follow a certain kind of a behavior, and where that behavior will allow others to make decision. That means they allow their team, other team leaders, they have other sub-leaders with them, they allow them to take decision, but the interesting part is that they retain the ability to choose when to participate and when not to. So they don't give the complete power. They say, okay, you go, but they know the rein is in their hand. They pull, and they know when to, engage in certain actions or certain decision making, or when to interfere and when not to. They clearly know about that. Then they possess cognitive empathy, not the emotional empathy, more of a cognitive empathy and more of logic. And their dark traits will help in deal with situation that demands high level of performance, such as, like when, you're faced with some problem in the health area, then, like leading the health workers, the soldiers and other high risk job where the emotions takes a backseat, and then help people to make cold and simplified decisions. They were very strong. You can see that very powerful, very strong. They are not, softened by that emotional things, and they just say where the situation demands a very strong and cold approach, they are able to take that. Their empathetic information combined with useful psychopathic mental processes. So everywhere we said they are very much connected to people, they are passionate, they are kind, and that information they take combined with the useful psychopathic mental process, the adaptive psychopathic traits, that help them deal with threats that conflict with their values and beliefs. So when they are having, and something is happening, and somebody is against them and they are making problems for them, what they believe, what their goals are, what their dreams are, where they are heading towards, and if there is a problem happens, they can immediately use this and they can deal with those threats and conflicts very successfully. Now, when you look at one of the common traits that usually dominate the dark triad is the need for power. So the dark personality traits in the dark empath, the dark triad, and the adaptive psychopathic traits, we can see that they always need the power. They are always for the power, and they like it because it defines them. If there is no power, they cannot be. They just feel emptiness. They can't just handle it. So their dark traits help them to be in the powerful leadership position. So when we look at it, maybe when you hear about psychopath, narcissist, it's only a bad area. Maybe we have seen that, but these are the traits that really help this powerful politicians, the political leaders, the powerful businessmen to really manage their empire in a very strong and a very kind of a tough manner, so that it has not been affected, it has not been attacked by definitely there will be attack, there's certain kind of people will be definitely trying to destroy them, but they can always survive, always lead in the front to take their entire crew, entire team to the successful destination, and they always will be known as the leader, the captain. All those kind of names are suitable for them, and this is how they are leading their entire empire in a diverse, empire, and always maintaining their powerful positions without much effect from their enemies, and then the conflicting interest and other kind of damaging situations or attack from others. So these are the traits which normally a person won't have. That's why we have very limited powerful political leaders and very limited powerful business leaders, because these traits are very rare, but once it is there and it has been polished and used, you can be a very successful, strong leader. So today's, when I was watching this, political reviews and the political results, I thought of all these things, and I wanted to share with you these my thoughts, and you can also go and search for this information, and I'm pretty sure that it will be useful for you to understand the leadership styles, and also just have a look within yourself and see that what kind of traits you have got, and develop your leadership style and your leadership abilities in that particular, in alignment with your traits. Then you will be a successful leader in wherever you are, in whatever traits that you have got. Always you play your field, you choose your field according to the traits, then you can definitely be a successful person. So investing in yourself is the best ever investment you can make, and your life is the best project, as I always say, you can ever work on. So listening to Hidden Power Podcast can make your personal transformation easy and flawless. I hope you enjoyed today's message. This is your host, Dr. Susan Koruthu. I will see you in the next episode. Until then, live well and laugh more. May God bless us all.